Hello, beautiful soul family. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, I wanted to share some brand new messages that I've been receiving from my angels and my guides about the spiritual significance of all the events that are taking place on planet Earth right now. And as many of us are aware that right now, planet Earth is reaching a boiling point. It's reaching the peak of the polarity, or some may say the battle between the dark and the light, the good versus bad, and all that's taking place. Some of it is happening. There's many narratives taking place. Some of the narratives are disinformation, which are being created by the ones who want to control and dominate. And then there's a lot of events taking place behind the scenes that are of a much higher significance, and that's what I really wanted to shed light on. But one of the things that is occurring, because of there's so many conflicting views and opinions, and everybody seems to be divided at this critical point in time as to what's actually happening. And to be honest, not one human being, not one of us has the complete picture as to what's taking place. We all have bits and pieces, and we're all trying to use our guidance and intuition in these chaotic times and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. So for any one person to claim that they know the full version of the truth is just simply not going to work. We all need to come together, put our minds together, solidify in unity, and know that we're all working towards the same cause. And that cause is the freedom of planet Earth, the freedom of humanity from so many years of slavery. And we're finally being freed after thousands of years from the clutches of a very dark and dominating force that has attempted to take over the planet. And that's really what's taking place in a nutshell. There's a takeover of control, or an attempted takeover of control for this planet. So I'll get into, I don't want to get into the 3D perspective, because there's way too many people covering that already. What interests me more and what I wanted to share with you guys more is what's taking place on a higher perspective. And to lighten up the energy a bit, because I know in the last week or so, a lot of us have been feeling tense, a lot of us have been feeling down, and staying cooped up in our houses and not being able to go to the places we love and socialize. We're social people, and we're not allowed to meet each other right now, so it's getting a bit dense, and our nerves are starting to show a bit. So I wanted to start with a healing prayer for everybody who's tuned in, and get us back into our hearts before we begin. So if you just follow for a few moments and close your eyes, and let's tune into our breath, tune into silence, feel the vibration of the nature around me. I've called upon all the nature spirits to assist, calling upon the elements of the land, spirit keepers of the land, spirit of the air, spirits of the trees, spirits of water, spirits of the fire, all the 4 sacred elements and the 4 sacred directions, calling upon our own personal angels, ascended masters, guardian angels, our galactic families of light. Whoever hears this call and is able to assist energetically, you are welcome into our space. And let us, with our intention, create a channel of pure white light, a pillar of light that is raised around our body, about 6 feet in diameter. Just pure white light radiating from the great central sun all the way down through the top of your head, engulfing you, surrounding you in this healing vibration. Feel the healing frequencies of nature that are being radiated to everyone who's tuning into this message. Feel the healing frequencies of our angels, clearing all doubt, clearing all heaviness, confusion, anger, sadness, despair, letting it all go, letting it all go. Breathe it out, breathe it out. And let this healing white light radiate all the way down to your feet, going through all your channels. It's cleansing your body, cleansing your organs, cleansing your chakras in the process. Every single particle of your being is being washed, being cleansed. And we're asking our angels to lift up off of us all density, duality, energies of chaos, and replace them with calm, peace, and unconditional love of God. Let us vibrate and bathe in this unconditional love that is always available to us. All we need to do is take a few moments to tune in every day and clear our channels, and let this light now radiate downwards into the very central core of Earth, all the way down to the central crystal core of Earth, Mother Gaia. And we're asking Mother Gaia to support us in this healing, in this clearing, and send us the golden Christos healing codes. Clear our aura, clear our space of all lower vibrations, of all densities, any extraterrestrial interferences, implants, devices, seals, portals, any signs of dark powers are now being removed from our space. And we send all of duality, all of these teachers of ours, the dark teachers, because everything is a part of who we are. We're sending all of this so much unconditional love and gratitude for teaching us the lessons of duality. And we thank them and we send them lovingly on their way. And allow yourself to come back into your body. Take another deep breath in and release. And you may open up your eyes if your eyes were closed. And the message today that I wanted to channel from my guides is exactly about duality and polarity on this plane. And one of the things that occurred to me as I have been coming across a lot of uncomfortable truth, a lot of uncomfortable news that is surfacing about the ones who want to control this plane, the ones who have done horrible things, including slavery, including abuse, including satanic rituals, and all horrible things that are coming to light. And I feel 2020 is a year of clear vision. This is the year where all of these truths are surfacing, and we're going to have to deal with a lot of these uncomfortable truths at one point or another. So if you are not aware of what I'm speaking of, you can go and do your own research. There's a very good documentary called Fall Cabal on YouTube, and I'm not pushing any particular agenda. Everyone is intelligent. We all have our own intuition. We all can determine right from wrong. So I invite everyone to do their own research and come to their own conclusions. But eventually we may come to a point where we feel a lot of sadness and despair, and this inner sense of helplessness as to how could things be allowed to get this bad on our planet? How could all these things be allowed to occur? And this is the question I was asking God yesterday. This is the question I was asking my own personal guides. Like, I was in this sense of, this is not right. Like, I know Earth is a spiritual school, and this is a place we come to learn all the hard lessons, but there are a lot of innocent people who've been hurt along the way. And how was this allowed to happen? Because surely on a grander scale, before this experiment in duality was created, we could all see at some point that it was going to get pretty ugly. So why was this allowed to get this ugly? And I was asking these questions, and I realized that I didn't have the full perspective, and my guides gave me that answer. And during the night, they were downloading all this information in my subconscious mind, and when I woke up this morning, I had some level of clarity that I wanted to share with everyone. And the first thing my guides pointed out was that there's a fundamental flaw in the question that I'm asking, and that flaw is, God, why did you allow this to happen? And that implies we're victims of this horrible experiment. But that's far from the truth. And I already know the creation story from many perspectives, because that's something that I have been studying in great depths for decades. And my guides sort of revisited that story for me, but from a different perspective this time. And they reminded me that before Earth was created, Earth is about 4 billion years old. All of humanity, we were a group consciousness known as the Adamic race. And an experiment was devised in consciousness that had never been performed in this universe before. And that experiment was, what would reality look like if we completely separated ourselves from God, and we created the illusion of separation by creating dark versus light. And that is the experiment that we have all been playing in. So God did not create anything other than a beautiful planet. He created this planet as a blank slate, and he allowed us to then be the creators of this reality and design this reality as we would. So we went into this consciousness experiment knowing full well that there were certain timeline possibilities that could be extremely dark, but we evaluated the risks and we evaluated the potential gains that we could that we weighed the odds of whether it is worth it or not, and we went in fully knowing that yes, it would be worth it for us to insert ourselves into this game of duality and learn what it would be like if we completely lived under the illusion that we're separate from God. So from a higher perspective, there's only oneness, there's only unity. From the fifth dimensional level of consciousness and higher, there's only unity. When you go into the fourth dimension and lower, that's where the plane of duality exists. So as a result of this experiment, what occurred in the heavenly realms was Archangel Lucifer was the one who decided to play the role of the rebel, and Satan was his lieutenant, who followed him into the plane, into the lower planes. And for the first time in existence, all these negative planes of existence were created. And we started incarnating as humanity. There were many epochs of time, and in each epoch of time we examined the lessons of duality from different perspectives. And we must understand that we have come to this point in our history where there's this 1% of the population, which we will refer to as the cabal, and then there's the 99% of the population, which consists of the humans and the star seeds who are all incarnated right now. And that 1% has really done a good job in controlling us through power, through creating financial slavery, through creating polarity, through creating wars, through creating starvation, poverty, you name it. They've done an excellent job in creating the illusion of duality to the extent where this planet seems unbearable for us to live in. So what's taking place is that as humans, we find it very easy to make ourselves look like these weak victims who are being subject to all these things, and we're just powerless and we need God to come and save us. But the thing is, it's not like that at all. The most important part of the equation is that all of humanity has played the part of victim and abuser, right? So it's not like us light workers and humans, we're always like these good people and we're like the weak people who are always controlled. We're reincarnating for hundreds, if not thousands of lifetimes on this planet, and we're sometimes reincarnating as the ones who are the abusers, and other times we are the victims, right? So we've all played the role of the cabal at some point. We've all played the role of the ones who have done horrible things to others, and that's where we have this system of karma, where when we do something that is very negative in one life, we need to come back into another life that is designed where we pay off that karma, perhaps by doing good in that life for others. So now we're coming to this point in our in this game of duality. We're coming to the point where everything is reaching a peak, like this war between the dark and the light is reaching its apex, and we're coming to the conclusion, and it's happening in a very timely fashion, because there are epochs of time, and this current epoch of time, which was for 25,000 years, is coming to an end. The last age that was running for 2,500 years was the age of Pisces, and now we're entering into a new golden age. And in this new golden age, we're moving past duality, because we have learned all that we can from this dark versus light and this duality, and we're getting off the wheel of karma. There's not going to be any wheel of karma. From here on onwards, we're given the chance to ascend. We're given the chance to balance everything, and we're given the chance to reincarnate freely on any plane of existence that we like. So we're no longer trapped in this duality game. And what took place on planet Earth was that the dark, the cabal, the Illuminati, had done such a good job in controlling the 99% of the population that Earth was certainly headed towards a disaster. And there needed to be a divine intervention for things to change. And in this instance, what took place was that a call was sent out to the entire universe, and a call was sent out by humanity for star seeds to assist planet Earth and assist humanity in this phase of ascension. Otherwise, humanity was kind of in dire straits. They felt pretty powerless because they had completely lost touch with their divinity. So the star seeds and the light workers and the way showers and the shamans and the priestesses, who are all incarnated, the ones who are awakening first, and most of the people who are tuning into this message are most likely of that vibration. These are the people who heard the call, and we came from all of our ascended planets and we came with huge sacrifice to planet Earth to assist out of our unconditional love for humanity, because we cannot just sit and enjoy our lives in heavenly planes while our brothers and sisters are suffering, because we ourselves, not many thousands of years ago, we ourselves on our planets went through exactly these kind of cycles, where we had to go through the planes of duality. We had to go through all the suffering and the torture, and we had to learn the hard way. And what my guides are showing me is that pain is necessary. Pain is a necessary evil to create evolution. That is the whole thing. So if we were simply choosing to remain as angelic beings in the heavenly planes playing our harp all day, it would get pretty boring pretty fast. And we are the kind of beings who like adventure. We like to push our boundaries, push our limits. And the whole purpose of creating this entire universe was to go out and explore everything that could possibly be created, and learn from those experiences, upload those experiences into our Akashic memory, into our Akashic database, so that when we master these lessons of duality, the entire existence of the universe also learns from it. So all the dimensions are connected to each other. So when we're learning certain lessons through hardship and suffering, it's not in vain. We're plugged into all of creation, and we're sending these codes into all of creation. And after this grand experiment in duality is wrapped up, then we no longer have to play in this in such suffering. And the future generations will have it much easier. On other planets, we will know what to do, what not to do, and there's certain certain part of the population of humanity that still needs more time to master these lessons. And these kind of people are the ones who are just service to self-oriented. They just want to take from others, and they're not learning how to share their toys, so to speak. So there's other planes of existence that are created, and there's other planets and other third dimensional realms of existence where they will continue their lessons. So another thing that I wanted to remind everyone of is that whatever takes place on the micro scale also manifests itself on the macro scale. So, for example, it's easy for us to just point the finger at the cabal and say, well, these people have done such horrible things, and they're just bad people. But if we look at ourselves as a collective, if we look at our own history on a personal level, on an individual level, we have allowed all these horrible things to take place. But we've been ignoring these things for so long. For example, slavery has existed for so long. It was only 150 years ago where slavery was so common. It was a part of every household in the United States of America, right? And there's child abuse is so common in many households, and that goes completely brushed under the rug. A lot of these abuses are not even reported. We wear fashionable clothes in our daily lives, but there's people slaving away in horrible conditions in third world countries to create those clothes. And only recently all these things are coming to light. The vegan movement, the vegetarian movement was recently started, and the animal rights movements were recently started, because just now we're noticing how horribly we've been treating animals. So these things are coming to light because now we're raising our vibration as a collective. But these are we have to remind ourselves that it's not so long ago that we were participating in all these things. So this energy existed in our collective for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We have participated in so much negativity and allowed these things to foster in our consciousness, that the cabal is simply a reflection of that. So we need to take a step back and acknowledge that we all have a part to play in this experiment that's gone horribly wrong. So this is just a reminder from our guides that we're not to blame, we're not to victimize ourselves and blame our oppressors, because we are all responsible co-creators on this plane, and whatever we allow is what is created. So really, this is the point in our story as a collective consciousness where we begin to remember who we really are, and we need to start taking responsibility for our participation in this grand experiment, in this co-creation that we call planet Earth. And we also need to remember that the question is not, God, why did you allow this to happen? But why did we allow this to happen? Why did we create such negative circumstances that exist in our planet today? And what can we do to clean up now, right? Because as children, it's easy for us to want our parents to clean up after us while we just keep on making a mess. But that's not how evolution works. As a creator, God wants us to pick up after ourselves and clean up our own mess. It's not as simple as sending extraterrestrials with superior technology to clean up our oceans and rebuild our forests and bring peace and justice to our society. They can do that. They can do that within a very short period of time. But will we learn our lessons? Then no. We're simply going to continue to be dependent on a higher authority to clean up after us. So the main reminder here is that we need to take responsibility for our creation, and we need to start voicing our opinions, and we need to really educate ourselves and get smarter, and we need to participate. There's way too many people who are simply sitting on the fence. They're not able to decide whether they want this or they want that. Do they want their governments to start vaccinating them, or do they want to have a right over their own bodies? But we need to really choose. We need to look at all of our history. We need to look at all the facts and determine for ourselves what went wrong and why did it go wrong, and what are we going to allow moving forward. I'm not saying it's vaccination is good or bad. It's just that we need to make informed choices from here on out. There's so many people who are saying things like, what about 5G? 5G is rolling out. What are we going to do? That's again victim mentality. We need to start writing to our representatives in the government bodies. We need to start writing to our city councillors. We need to take a peaceful stand. I'm not saying go and start demonstrating in masses in the public, not at all. But we need to voice our opinions. As long as we stay quiet, as long as we stay on the fence, as long as we're watching Netflix at home and not participating in the more important discussions, the world is going to keep making the decisions around us, and we're going to stay asleep. So this whole period of rest where people are cooped up in their houses, this is our wake-up call. This is our chance to wake up. On a collective level, what this period of rest or period of incubation in our houses represents is the birthing of a new consciousness. It's like there's all this history behind us before this year. That was our caterpillar stage, and right now we're in a womb. We're in this chamber where we're going through a metamorphosis. We're going through these spiritual upgrades, and the next phase is when we come out of this, and hopefully we come out of this with our eyes wide open, and we come out with our wings spread out, and we know how to fly. So right now, collectively, we're going through the birthing of a new consciousness. And symbolically, this is also a metaphor that was given to us in the Bible of how Jesus was hung on the cross for paying for the sins of mankind. And then he was placed in the tomb where he was supposedly dead for 3 days. And then his resurrection occurred. So right now, that was on an individual level. Right now, we're experiencing that as a collective, right? We're experiencing the birth of Christ consciousness, and this is the 3 days of darkness before Christ was resurrected. So when we come out of our homes, hopefully we'll have had a chance to really soak in all points of view. We really have a chance to question the official narrative about what's going on in our world, and stop being sheep, stop being followers, and stop just getting spoon-fed by whatever narrative that our media, whatever narrative our governments and our some so-called scientists are pushing down our throat, and really begin to make up our own mind. We need to start questioning the official stories and educating ourselves and becoming smarter, and then realizing that we are the ones in power. The governments, the people in power, they all depend on our compliance. They cannot create anything until we say yes to it. Or simply staying quiet and complicit is also a form of saying yes, because we're saying we don't care either way. So yeah, sure, roll out 5G, roll out these forced vaccinations, and we'll go along with whatever comes to us. So this is our chance to really awaken. This is our chance to look at some very difficult truths that we have to face. And this is also a time for us to realize that we're getting out of this polarity and we're coming into a place of unity consciousness. And we cannot use this as an opportunity to start a blame game or channel our anger or channel our hatred towards the ones that we like to blame for all of our problems. Because all of us have to take responsibility and grow up. So that's the main theme right now. All of us have to take responsibility for this creation, and we have to channel peace, love, and forgiveness. Because remember, if we continue to blame others for our problems, we're going to continue in the same cycles of duality, because anger, hate, blame, revenge, all of these things are the same energy of duality. And the only way we're going to ascend out of this, the only way we're going to come out of this as a higher consciousness, as more self-aware beings, is by taking responsibility and sending out forgiveness to the dark ones, which is also an aspect of ourselves, sending our forgiveness and even sending our gratitude to them to some extent for teaching us all of these very important lessons in our evolution. Without all of these situations being created, we would never grow up. And it's finally time for us to grow up. So having said that, I hope everybody takes this in and soaks it in. And this is the time that we need to really come into our hearts and not fall into fear, not fall into anger, not fall into blame, and just hold the energies of new earth that we want to create. We're leaving old earth behind no matter what. It's just a matter of time. And in order for us to create new earth, we simply have to focus more on what we want to create. Let us focus our minds on building beautiful, harmonious cities where each of us is growing organic foods and vegetables. Each of us is raising our children in harmonious villages where Children are laughing and playing. There's clean air. There's pure water. There's ample sunlight and vegetation. There's beautiful nature reserves. There's amazing clean technologies. There's unlimited free energy. There's so many wonders and miracles of healing where we lead beautiful long lives into hundreds of years, and we all coexist as a peaceful civilizations. That is the template that all star seeds and light workers and the way showers carry within our DNA. And this is a reminder that now more than ever, we need to remember why we came to this planet. We came to remind humanity of these potentials. And by being these potentials, by holding these potentials in our hearts, is how we create them. So sending love to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, I love you all.